What up, guys? Surprise, surprise. No longer hiding behind the camera. I figured I would talk to you guys face to face, like men, for once. And honestly, I'm just kidding. What I wanted to do was kind of talk about my EDC system, what knives I carry, how many I carry, where do I carry them. Just, I don't know, shits and giggles. Where do you guys, how do you arrange your system? I'm usually just wearing jeans, and this is what I'm rocking lately. I got myself my Victorinox Classic right here. I've got a couple of little grocery ties because those things are annoying to try and grab when you're at the grocery store. Got a flash drive, and then I've got one of these copper Olight S1. This is the AA variety, and this thing has been, I got this maybe a month ago. This has been awesome. And then I'm also constantly rocking the Karambit, Combat Karambit. This is one thing I did want to talk to you guys about. I just cut a little hole right there, and it's nice because rather than having the loop of the Karambit sticking out, which I've had people go, "Hey, what's this?" and then start to pull it, and you got to just like stop them, and that's a dangerous thing. I don't need that kind of attention. I'd rather have it tucked, again, just right in that portion right here, so I can be kind of like this, and then out very fast. So yeah, these things are basically always on me. The Karambit, the Victorinox, and the flashlight. That's kind of just always, right? And then you've got the just a nice compliant 3-inch blade, something waveable preferably in the back pocket, because again, I think also this is a very common, all right, I'm waiting around, if I need to, we can be in business. Or I just need to cut something quickly. So I like to have that there. Sometimes I don't have my phone in my pocket right now because you're watching me through it. I'm recording with the phone. But a lot of times I will have the phone right here. Also do another little sliced hole on the inside of this pocket if I want to put a blade there. Right now I'm rocking one of these guys. I'm rocking a Bark River Essential that I got for my birthday just 2 months ago. I'm going to actually cut in a moment to a tabletop and show you this a little bit further. I'm not always rocking something that's on a belt like this, but a lot of times, why not, you know? I think it looks good with the belt. It covers pretty well. I've never had anyone ask me about it. And then usually I'll just drop some other knife in this back pocket. Sometimes I leave it, don't put anything in there, but right now I have, I've got my M-Custa Katana, and this thing is just a really fun knife. But it's longer than the 3 inches, and so if I have it clipped on my pocket, at least how I interpret it, that then becomes an over 3-inch long blade that's publicly visible, or like out in the public eye, at which point it becomes illegal. And at least, again, in my reading and interpreting of the law, if it is hidden and it is closed, then it is not considered a concealed dagger. That's something that's fixed open. And as long as it's not visible to the public eye, you're good. So yeah, that's my system. That's what I'm rocking right now. I change it out daily. I'm sure you guys do too, right? You got a lot of different knives, and it's just like, what feels good today? What matches my outfit? I laugh at it a little bit, but hey, these are the times we're in, right? Like, how often are most of us really worrying about much more than that? certainly I like to keep usually something like a clean, thin knife that's good for like cutting like foods, stuff like that, like, you know, something a little bit more delicate. I like to keep a thick burly knife where I can like really lean into it and do some hard work with it. And then again, lately I've been really wanting to keep something like a fixed blade or something that's really rugged, just in case, you know, shit hits the fan and I'm, you know, in freaking Torrance and I need to, you know, build a shelter. But yeah, so let me hit pause on this, and I'm going to cut back to a tabletop, and we'll talk a little bit more about this guy in particular, as well as one more Bark River that I have, and a new Emerson. So bear with me, I'll be right back. Okay guys, I'm back, and we're here at the tabletop, and I can give you a little bit closer view of my new Bark Rivers. I turned 30 2 months ago, and I've been slacking on getting you guys any videos. But I figured for this birthday, I kind of wanted some more special. Not that, you know, Emersons aren't special, but I wanted to maybe get something that I hadn't had before. And the Bark Rivers have been catching my eye lately, and so I was asking I asked my wife, just get me any one of the essentials. Because I just think they look awesome. And I gave her a kind of a list of them, and she picked out this one. And I think this one is a really fantastic version of it. So this is the Bark River Essential in Zoe Chris Damascus, and it's blue and gold elder burl handle with mosaic pins. Let's see if I can give you a good look at those pins. Come on, focus. Stupid thing. There we go. Isn't that beautiful? I really love this Damascus as well. And then with the copper bolster, or not copper, brass bolsters, this thing is a pretty beautiful knife. I love the fuller. I had given her the option to get some of the, either this or the 154, the CPM 154 blades, which do not have a fuller, and I'm really glad she went with one of the fuller varieties. It actually provides a pretty good amount of ability to choke up and kind of like get a little traction on that blade for a pinch grip. And overall, this knife is just, it's wonderful. It has a great like ergonomic feel to, you know, in the hand. Feels really good if you pinch up on it again and get that closer, more detailed grasp. But yeah, really cool knife. There are some things about it that definitely make it feel very handmade. You know, again, these knives are like, they're pretty much custom knives that are done in batches. And so you get kind of a custom knife feel, but being in batches, they kind of they can get the pricing down a bit, and they're still not cheap. I think this one ran like $350, not $350, probably $330, in that $325 to $330 type range, and so it's expensive. But I don't know if you guys watch the Apostle Paul channel, but you know, he is kind of in his video on the Essential, he was saying that, you know, these are basically like these are pieces that you're going to pass down. Like this is what am I trying to say? Not heritage. They're heirloom quality pieces, and something that is going to last you forever. And this thing is extremely stoutly built. It does feel like it will last forever, but there are a few things about it that feel very handmade. So if you look at the handle here, see how there's portions of kind of gloss? See that in here? So that's where the wood was not polished all the way down. It was not ground all the way to the point where you're getting rid of any of that resin impregnation.
And so you still get kind of like little spots there that are slightly uneven to the touch. They feel pretty smooth, but they do have this gloss. And then, yeah, you can see a little bit more of it on the backside here. Right in through here, it was actually kind of rough. I feel like maybe they see that one glossy spot. That was actually raised and almost looked like it had super glue on it. It was like they had seen a hole there and they had like patched it up, but then forgot to come back and hit it again on the buffing wheel. So, I mean, I just took some, I have some very high grit, some, very fine sandpaper and just worked that down myself. But you can see it kind of changed the luster on this mosaic pin here. I matched this one up to it, but it is different than these. These have that kind of full mirror style glossiness. So kind of a little bit of a slight hitch when I first got it. I was loving the knife, but I had to do a little bit of work. And then the other thing is, let's see if you can see it here. The blade is a little bit uneven, the grind. Look right here. See that? See how it's more taken off on this side than on this side? So, I mean, it's not a huge thing. You really can't notice it from just looking at it. But when you turn it on its side, it does become apparent that this thing was hand ground and not exactly perfectly. So, that's okay. It's a really beautiful knife. I love carrying it around. Super confidence inspiring. Fits the hand really well. Like, sometimes I'll pull this thing out and just put it in hand and just like stare at it and just ogle the beauty of it. I haven't done any real hard using of it yet, so I can't really tell you how it's going to fare in hard use. It certainly works well as like an EDC knife, which is the intended purpose of this. As far as the edge goes, this has got a pretty good edge, but I feel like it could be better. And this kind of brings me to like my next point about this is, I'm very used to sharpening your standard edge. This is a convex grind and has a convex edge, and that's fine for something that isn't Damascus, because then you can take it to a heavier sandpaper and get your convex sharpness on it, and then just keep on walking up the grit until you get back to your kind of like satin brushed sort of finish. But with something like Damascus, that's as soon as you start polishing this, all that cool wavy goodness is going to go away. So I'm kind of a little bit on the fence. I'm almost thinking about taking this thing and converting the edge over to a standard, just like a fixed angle type edge. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. If you I know that some people would think that's heresy. I know that a lot of other people though would understand that, on a knife like this, you want to preserve that finish. And if it means the difference between having a sharp knife all the time that is easy to sharpen and having a knife that you sweat bullets every time you sharpen it, hoping that you don't ruin the finish, I might opt for a knife that is easier to maintain. Also, feels really good in reverse grip. I gotta say, that is surprisingly nice. Yeah, just a really nice knife. See that taper to the handle where it widens out in the butt here? It just fits really nicely. This feels really good to pinch onto that bolster. The stamp, if you can notice, is actually like a stamp. It's actually a indent into that blade, which is pretty cool. Different than a lot of other stuff where it's just printed on it. So, yeah, really cool knife. The weight on this guy, it is fairly heavy. Let me, I've got the weight written down here. So in the sheath, And this is the sheath that came with it. This is with the, like, I think this is from, is it Knives Ship Free? They have like the extra, the protection plan, or like the like treatment that they do to the leather, and my wife opted to have that done. So they don't usually come this dark. I think usually it's a lot lighter, similar to something like this, which is a sharpshooter pocket sheath that I got for it as well. And this is a nice sheath as well. It doesn't retain it quite as well as this does, and I just like the look of this a lot better. So I've been carrying it like this. But so in the sheath, the weight is 6.3 ounces, and then out of the sheath, the knife alone is 4 ounces. So, not crazy heavy, but sizable. So now let's talk about the next bark river that I got, because I did get 2 bark rivers for my birthday this year. So happy bark day to me. My parents got me this guy, the ringtail, and the ringtail is a really cool little knife. This one is in CPM 154, and it has Scarlet Elder Burl, I believe. What does the box say? Black and Scarlet Elder Burl. Really nice, subtle coloration on the handle, and this one's fairly uniform as far as like the grind goes. Really nice little knife. I'm excited to do some real work with this thing and actually put it to harder use than I've put it through so far. Again, I've just been EDCing it around here and there. But I always love a knife that has a ring, and this is my first in this sort of bird and trout configuration. And this thing just it fits the hand really well. With room to spare if you've got your finger in the ring, and a pretty comfy amount of room if you don't have it in the ring. So for being a small knife, the handle really provides a lot of real estate, and then I really do enjoy this this kind of texture that they've milled into it here. It adds a nice amount of kind of grip to it, but not being too aggressive. So yeah, a really beautiful blade. The convex on this and the satin, the belt satin, is just beautiful. I mean, look at that. Isn't that nice? Now this one I would say came a little less sharp than the other, than the Essential. It's still sharp, but it's not as, it's not quite, definitely not shaven with it. You're not really shaving too much with the other, with the Essential either. I think that these Bark Rivers come with a micro bevel that is a little bit more intended for sort of woods, bushcrafting, stuff like that. So it's a little bit more of a rugged edge. But that said, I have done a few things with this, I cut open a butternut squash with this thing, and it was like a zipper. You just get this thing into that squash and start rocking it, and I mean, I just completely cut that thing lengthwise in just a matter of seconds. So that convex grind really does kind of cleave through woodier, harder objects really, really well. But yeah, I still have yet to come back in and put a really nice edge on this. So that's the ringtail. And so the weight on the ringtail, let me pull this out because it looks cooler outside than in. The weight on that ringtail is, let's get a good shine on this. The weight on the ringtail is In a sheath, 4.2 ounces. Outside of the sheath, 1.9 ounces. So really lightweight, which is nice. Also, the sheath. So here's the sheath. The sheath is magnetic, which is really great because, I mean, look how magnetic it is. Like, you see that? Even if this thing fell out to that point, it's still retaining. Once you get it in this deep, the magnet is not really retaining it at all. But still, it's just a really nice sheath. Now that said, it's still a pretty thick sheath. I mean, that is sizable. I have a ruler here. Let's take a look. We're looking at, it looks like, you know, an almost, it's over an inch, you know, an inch and a quarter, something like that, on the thickness of this sheath with the knife in it. So if you're trying to carry it as a neck knife, I'm not sure how well that's going to work. That said, it's still a really nice option if weight or concealability is not a problem for you. And then the last knife that I mentioned in my my little face-to-face portion of the video is a new Emerson. So I took my grandpa's money, my grandpa's birthday money, and Grandpa ended up buying me a Quaken, because this thing is awesome. I knew that I wanted to get one of these Quakens, just because look how clean that thing is. It's just such a minimalist, clean design. The blade just completely disappearing into the handle. And so I went to my local knife store, Recon 1, over in Encino, and they happened to have this. It was the last one they had, and I was like, oh, I gotta handle that. Let's see. And it just flicked open and felt so good in hand that I was like, nope, that's coming home with me. And so yeah, they sold this thing to me, and I have been real pleased with it ever since. Not put a ton of use into it so far, so I can't really give you like detailed information about how it works, you know, how it uses, how it performs in hand. But I mean, it's just an exceptionally beautiful knife. It's gotten a lot of like fondle time, and it is sharp as shit. I mean, this thing is like razor sharp. Look at that tip. That is just a ridiculously scary tip. I mean, so scary that I've been afraid to use it because I don't want to break it, because it is a really fine tip. But yeah, man, the way Emerson does those satin grind lines and then the stone wash, it's just gorgeous. How many of them do I have? I have quite a few Emersons, and every single time they just I can't help but love these just subtle textures, you know? I can't believe that people think Emersons are plain. I mean, I get it, but you know, it's beautiful. It's plain that it is beautiful. Like, it is just so simple. Such a really awesome piece. And this is definitely fits great in the hand. It's a gnarly knife. I mean, this is like a fighting knife for sure. And just like, look at that. It's so nice. The detent sucks it in pretty well too. Yeah, see, I don't have to fight it at the end. Yeah, it's a beauty. So very happy with this guy. And weight on this guy is what do we got? 5.3 ounces. So actually not as bad as some of the others. I don't know if you guys saw my Emerson, or my video on the Emerson Tiger, but I wanted to correct myself. One of my viewers commented and pointed out that I was I was dumb enough to pull specs off of Emerson's website. Just so you know, Emerson's website is often just riddled with inaccuracies. And I had said that the Tiger was 3.5 ounces, or 3.5 or 3.7 ounces, which is what the website said. Correction, the Tiger is 6.1 ounces, I believe, or 6.2. It's heavy. So, yes, use your brains and a scale, not the Emerson website. But yeah, so I figured I'd just bring a quick video to you guys today. It's not like I really have a lot to say with these, because how's this gonna fit into frame? Because I really haven't used them all that extensively. Maybe I'll give you a quick paper cut test on these, right? And maybe some comparison, like compared to a katana. As you saw, this is what I was carrying a little while ago. So smaller than the katana for sure. Compared to a... Wow, yeah, I have to put them this way because it's just too long. Compare it to a Delica. Oh, that was lame, right? Here we go. So that's the Delica. Tiny compared to a Delica, right? Look at that. Well, the Delica's tiny compared to it. Compared to the Quaken. And then let's put it next to something like a XM18. Yeah, also quite a decent bit bigger than the XM18. And lastly, we'll put it next to something a little more in its class, but also smaller. Smaller? No, it's actually, we're at the same size. There you go. So you got to step up to something like a Commander before you're in the same size range as the Quaken. So yeah, nice, really nice knife. God, aren't those beautiful? It's nice to have things like this that are more varied and more kind of handmade and fun looking, but geez. The beauty of the tactical beauty and gnarliness of the Emerson is just, there's nothing quite like it. All right, let me find some paper and give you some cut testing, because yeah, why not? I know you guys like it. Let's see. What's that? Is that some garbage? Yeah. So, some standard paper here. Let's do the unimpressive stuff first. All right, old Barky here. See, it can do some paper cutting, but that's kind of rough, and you see it does want to keep tearing. It's not the best. I was a little bit unimpressed with the sharpening on that. The Essential is a little bit better than the Ringtail, as you can see. Still not fantastic sometimes. It's okay, but you can see why I want to get in there and sharpen both of these, because that's just sort of, it's not this. What the fuck? That is so nice. Yowzas. Fuck, that is good. Alright. Somebody asked me to do some cut testing with this XHD. because I guess I didn't do any paper testing, but it is also really, really sharp. Here, let's do the bent paper. Let's see. Yeah, it's it's stupid sharp. Yeah, fucking Emerson's, man, so sharp. Let's all just sort of enjoy this for a second. Oh, beautiful. Okay, one last comparison before I hit the dusty trail and leave you guys to it. I should compare the folding tactical Quaken here with the fixed blade, the neck knife. So let's get all this shit out of the way. All right, so we got Mr. Tactical Folding Quaken, and then we've got the neck knife. So I did a little wrap on that guy. Still such a really nice knife here. Let's do a little quick paper cut test on this one. I think, where did that paper go? I literally just had it. Oh well, let's just use the corner. Also extremely sharp. And that's what we're looking at comparison-wise. So it is a sight shorter, quite a bit shorter actually. Let's give you a look at them side by side. Come on. Focus. Yeah. It's interesting to see how that dark finish compared to the stonewash. Again, like I said before, Emerson really is a master of those really subtle textures. They're similar in hand. This definitely has a much more confidence-inspiring ergo in my mind. Feels great with the thumb going down that wave thumb ramp. This one missing that thumb ramp completely is nice because you can kind of you choke up on it, get a little higher up on it. Good for the hammer grip. Doesn't feel as locked in though as this does. God, that is a sick looking knife, isn't it? Alright guys, that's it. My batteries or hard drive are gonna fail soon, so I'm gonna leave you, and I'll be back at some point with some more videos soon. So hope you guys have a great day, and don't cut yourself. Take care. Bye.